Alright, so on to our next video here. We got the always amazing Neil deGrasse Tyson. Can we go back in time using a space-time machine? Okay, I have a let's work on this one and see what the H this joint's all about. Cause I am interested. Alright then, let's go.
One of the most intriguing questions we've all wondered about when we were kids is whether we can travel into the future or go back in time using some sort of time machine. The question still remains intriguing even in our adult lives, and fortunately for us, science has advanced to the point where we can answer this age-old question.
We can easily travel forward in time, and we've known how to do that since 1905. Einstein's special theory of relativity lays out the whole recipe of how you can move into the future. And all you have to do is go into sort of a lower gravity field relative to other people, or just travel very fast. And your clock will tick slower than that of everybody else that you've left behind. And then when you return, you'll be younger than your twin, for example, if you had left your twin back on Earth. So
Okay, that's kind of interesting. Where the hell is my damn camera at? There you are. Alright. So far, this is pretty interesting here. I might just keep this one up just in case. Where's my microphone at? My microphone is all the way over here. Crap. Should have put it closer so you guys can hear what I'm saying. Yeah, this is starting to get pretty damn interesting. I'm liking this one. Alright, so let's see. So if I put my wife on the spaceship, right, and she starts doing this time travel stuff, and she comes back, I'll be more of a silver fox, right? I guess that's what it is. I guess that's what it's saying. I don't know. All right, let's keep this joint moving.
in that sense, you are traveling into the future. That's easy to do, and we've known how to do that. Traveling backwards, that's the problem. We think we can do that. I have some colleagues who've made some calculations that assert that depending on a trajectory you take around a black hole, you can come out and end up in the past of when you started. But that takes extraordinary setup to make happen. But right now, no problem traveling into the future.
We've known the answer that it is absolutely possible to travel forward.
Hot diggity damn, that's a lot of math that I do not know. All right, that's freakishly scary. I'm just seeing like all of. Okay, so is this what science? This is something that I've noticed. When it comes to this stuff, like the super scientific stuff, there's always a scientist with a big ass chalkboard with this stuff on it. Like how? So how did? What my question is, where the hell do they get these big ass chalkboards at? Like, where do they get them? Like, is this like some scientific specific wholesale store that carries these, or something like that, or what? Because I can't find this in no damn Sam's Club or no Costco. I can't find this. I can't find them over there. So where do they get these from? That's what I want to know. I know because they are killing the market on chalkboards and chalk. So where are they getting their stashes from? That's a very intriguing question that I would like to know. All right, let's keep it pushing.
In time. In fact, we have irrefutable evidence to show that. So before we dwell into the intricacies of going back in time, first let's see why scientists are so confident we can travel into the future.
The faster you move, the slower time ticks for you as others view it relative to the observer. You don't know anything's happening. Your clock still ticks as far, you still got your heartbeat, all of this. So this is not a physiological thing. It is an actual property of the fabric of space and time under those conditions. So I watch you fly by, and the faster you go, the slower time ticks for you. So not only does speed do this, also the strength of a gravitational field will have the same effect on you. Initially, when formulated, you're thinking it's just because you're moving. It's actually way deeper than that. The GPS satellites orbit higher than our space station. The geosynchronous satellites are like middle orbit. That is far enough away from Earth's source of gravity for them to have a measurably different space-time condition, so that their clocks tick faster than our clocks on Earth's surface. Because they're farther away, their time ticks faster relative to us. But we get precise timings from geosynchronous satellites. How does this work? We pre-correct the time signal from the GPS satellites to compensate for Einstein's general theory of relativity, so that by the time the time reaches us, it's been properly corrected and it matters to us and our space-time continuum, not the one that's in middle Earth orbit. Once you calculate that, then you do and you say, oh my gosh, the formula works. Einstein was right. It is true.
In physics and relativity, time dilation is the difference in the elapsed time as measured by two clocks. It is either due to a relative velocity between them or to a difference in gravitational potential between their locations. For example,
okay, I gotta back up here because there's something that is bothering me about seeing something like this. All right, so this is super bright, like, because I see it because I had this issue with Star Wars 2 when they go into warp speed and they basically are in front row view of something that would possibly be as bright as the sun. So that leads me to ask two questions. One, what type of eyewear should we be wearing if we're in that situation? And two, what's the tint level on these damn windshields here? Was that 5% tint? So the popo can't see up in your window? Or something like that, or what? Because I would be blind by default if I had to sit in any one of these seats and have just super bright light blasting me in the face. Just a little thing there. All right, let's keep it moving.
Potential between their locations. For example, near the vicinity of a black hole. To a distant observer, clocks near a black hole would appear to tick more slowly than those farther away from the black hole. Due to this effect known as gravitational time dilation, an object falling into a black hole appears to slow as it approaches the event horizon, taking an infinite amount of time to reach it. As we said, besides the difference in gravitational potential, there is another way to travel into the future, and that is going through space in relativistic velocities. As you approach the speed of light, something really strange starts to happen.
Let's keep going faster and faster. 90% the speed of light, 99% the speed of light. Time is ticking slower and slower and slower. For you, you will watch the whole future history of the universe unfold in front of your eyes as fractions of a second go by for you, as you go 99.9, 99.99% the speed of light. There's a formula for this, of course.
Special and general relativity suggest that suitable geometries of space-time, or specific types of motion in space, might allow time travel not only into the future but also into the past. However, time travel into the past is theoretically possible in certain general relativity space-time geometries, only when travelling faster than the speed of light is permitted. And the problem with going back in time is forgetting about the other side of the coin of the space-time continuum, which is space.
It's not good enough just to travel back in time. You need something to propel you in space as well. So it's a space-time machine, not just a time machine. Because Earth is a moving target. I just want to make that clear. And by the way, just you go back in time, you could still land on Earth, but how is Earth rotated? You could end up in Siberia, in the middle of the ocean probably, because most of Earth's longitude is spanned by ocean. So it's truth in time travel with regard to these space-time coordinates. Now, we call these your coordinate in space and your coordinate in time. We call that your world line.
Another problem with going back in time using a time machine, or a space-time machine, is the so-called grandfather paradox. But what is it exactly?
You cannot go back in time and prevent your parents from meeting each other. Because then you would have never been born to have gone back in time to have prevented your parents from meeting each other. This is the fundamental paradox of time travel. And so if there were a rule book, that'd be number one rule.
Perhaps the best way to go back in time is to make use of wormholes. The theory of general relativity does suggest a scientific basis for the possibility of backward time travel in certain unusual scenarios, so going through a traversable wormhole could in theory allow you to go back in time.
So we have the sort of the fabric of the space-time continuum. It's not just that space is out there. Space is intricately configured with time. And how do you know this? Space-time are forever conjoined. This fabric can be distorted in such a way that you can change the distance, the space-time distance between two locations. And one way to imagine that is, imagine all of our universes just on a flat sheet of paper. You're on one edge of the paper and I want to get to the other edge, and I'll take out light years of time, whatever, however long that takes. I mean, it's light years distance, so I take many years traveling at the speed of light. But if I take the space and warp it, curve it back on itself, now your location is very close to me. If I could somehow punch through the fabric of space and time and reach your location. Something that would otherwise be longer, a shorter distance, and thereby transcending the speed of light to do so. You're no longer limited by the speed of light. The diameter of our galaxy is 100,000 light years. You can't travel across it unless you figured out a way to warp space and time. So, in that warp, in principle, on paper, you can have a hole that you pass through and just come out the other side. And you're in another place, and if you did it right, you can show up at another time, and that's the most classical invocation of a wormhole.
Another approach for backwards time travel.
And I just realized that my mic was off. How do they come up with this stuff? Like, for real? Like, just how do they come up with the math and the theories for interacting with black holes? Like, that's so weird to me. But that's very interesting nonetheless. All right, let's keep it moving.
Involves a dense spinning cylinder, usually referred to as a Tipler cylinder. Discovered as a solution in general relativity, this hypothetical cylinder is infinitely long and spins fast enough about its long axis that a spaceship flying around the cylinder on a spiral path could travel back in time, or forward, depending on the direction of its spiral. However, the density and speed required is so great that ordinary matter is not strong enough to construct it.
By the way, if you manage to travel someplace faster than light, you have the capacity to move backwards in time. We've got that one established as well. We just don't have any easy way to travel faster than light. But one way that's been celebrated in science fiction, and you can write it out on paper legitimately, is a wormhole. A wormhole, I'm over here and I want to get over there and I want to get there quickly. You can travel through a wormhole that changes the effective distance between where you are and where you're going. And then you sort of look around when you get there and you find, oh my gosh, I've traveled 100,000 light years in a matter of a moment. When you do that, you have the capacity to move backwards in time relative to when you left. Now, you don't get to visit yourself. You're in a sort of a different space-time trajectory. So you can't shake hands with yourself before you left. And by the way, there's a huge paradox that people worry about. And many people, including Stephen Hawking, the late Stephen Hawking, worried whether this paradox would prevent backwards time travel completely. Because if you go back in time and prevent your parents from meeting one another, then they wouldn't have ever given birth to you to go back in time to prevent them from meeting one another.
Thanks for watching. Did you like this video? Then show your support by...
Did I like this video? Yeah. Very informative. Jeez, that was really interesting. That was awesome. I definitely like that. Now I'm learning about, the stuff that I don't really understand, and this one actually did a great job trying to describe it. All right, cool. So that was, can we go back in time using a space time machine? Apparently not, but we can definitely go forward, which is very interesting because it's like, I wonder if there's any like experiments or something like that on doing that or seeing how it works, something like that. But oh, it was dope. Thank you very much for joining coming on this journey with me. Don't forget to hit that like, share, subscribe button. Stay updated on future content. I'm gonna be having more content like this, like once a week and everything. But yeah, if you guys have any topics of what you want to learn about, go ahead and drop a comment. And all right, that was entertaining. I am Ch1-R0-R and I am out. Peace. What up, you amazing hackers? It's your boy, the humble hacker from Chi-Town, Ch1-R0-R, back with another video. And today we're going to be looking at a segment that I like to call Ro-Ro Wants to Know-Know, where I would look up topics of things that I want to learn about and gain a better understanding of, and learn more about it. I'm an open-minded thinker. I love to learn about things that I don't know or understand yet. Therefore, I can't understand them. Keeping myself like open-minded and everything like that to all types of stuff, because there's so many things that life has to offer, and I don't get the opportunity to be able to want to do that because of my anxiety, and I want to go ahead and branch that out and take the opportunity to learn about things that I haven't seen or want to one day be able to see, and also get like a different perspective on stuff. Maybe, hopefully, later on, if this does well, be able to actually speak to people to get their expertise on these types of things. So I wanted to start this off with something that I enjoy a lot, which is science fiction. I'm a big sci-fi geek, and one of the main things that I love are time travel stories and learning about paradoxes. So that's what we're going to go ahead and learn today on watch like a couple of videos, and then just to kind of like see what they're all about, and just branch ourselves out and see what else YouTube has to show us. And so we're starting this first one, types of paradoxes that will blow your mind, by Mike Ricksecker. All right, let's go ahead and check this joint out.
I know one thing, that I know nothing. A look inside paradoxes. Welcome to Haunted Road Media. I'm author and ghost historian Mike Ricksecker. Explore with us. Paradoxes are all around us, but they permeate throughout our popular culture. One of my favorite paradoxes I like to throw at people is true or false. I'm lying. Trying to wrap your head around how those states of being can't exist properly with that simple question and answer combination makes it a paradox. Let's take a look at some of these paradoxes and how we're familiar with them. The bootstrap paradox is a favorite in films and books. In a bootstrap paradox, self-existing objects or pieces of information in a causal loop have no origin. For example, a person travels back in time to give themselves an object to perform some act, which they retain until that moment in the future when they travel back in time to give it to themselves again. The object is in a loop and thus has no origin. I first saw this play out in film when I was a kid and fell in love with the movie Somewhere in Time, starring Christopher Reeve and Jane Seymour. Reeve's character Richard receives a pocket watch from an old woman named Elise. When he travels back in time, Richard hands the pocket watch to a young Elise before he disappears, and Elise hangs on to it until she becomes the old woman and gives it to Richard. Thus, the watch has no place of origin. The time-traveling Netflix series Dark, my favorite series as of this recording, is loaded with bootstrap paradoxes. The book, A Journey Through Time by H.G. Tannhaus, is handled by multiple characters throughout the series and eventually ends up in the author's hands, at which point he actually writes the book for the first time. However, he couldn't have written the book to begin with without having seen the book first. Similarly, in that series, Michael's letter that he writes before he hangs himself is given to him by his time-traveling son Jonas before he even writes it. Jonas keeps the letter for himself, which he gives to another version of himself later, but Michael wouldn't have known what to write in the letter if Jonas hadn't shown him to begin with. Again, the information in the letter has no place of origin. The bootstrap paradox also plays out in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, when Harry is being attacked by the Dementors and a Patronus saves him. At first, he believes this is his father's doing, but when he and Hermione jump back in time and witness the event, Harry generates the Patronus to save his other self, saying that he realized he could perform the spell because he had already done it when he had been saved. Again, this is another causal loop with no origin. The grandfather paradox name comes from the name's common description. A person travels back in time and kills his or her own grandfather, before the conception of his or her mother or father, thus preventing the existence of the time traveler to begin with. The most obvious description of this is Marty McFly's interference with his parents' past in Back to the Future. Although he doesn't kill his parents, he nearly prevents them from getting together and begins erasing his own existence from time. Marty's brother and sister begin disappearing from a photo he carries, and he almost disappears himself before his parents finally have their big kiss. Even if that kiss didn't happen and Marty did get erased from time, Marty's existence before his erasure, even though he would have never been born, still would have had a profound effect on his parents' lives. That's a paradox. The most mind-bending grandfather paradox in pop culture has to be that of the film Predestination, based on the short story All You Zombies by Robert A. Heinlein. I encourage you to watch this movie, so if you don't want a massive spoiler, please go ahead and skip ahead about a minute. This story involves an intersex time-traveling agent who begins life as a baby girl, Jane, and through the course of events has a sex change operation when the birth of her own daughter results in massive complications. This baby is kidnapped from the hospital and whisked away to the past, and Jane becomes John. At a bar one night, John meets an agent masquerading as a bartender who offers the invitation to become an agent and defeat the dastardly Fizzle Bomber terrorist, but only after completion of an initial mission into the past. During this mission, John meets college-age Jane and they fall in love, conceiving baby Jane. By the time the story is finished being told, you've come to realize that Jane, John, the bartender time agent, and the Fizzle Bomber are all different versions of the same person at different points in time, all interacting with each other and affecting each other's lives. Some refer to these type of events as a predestination paradox, and some can also contend that Jane and John are their own bootstrap paradox, their own physical body having no actual origin. Some look at the concept of the grandfather paradox and believe that these alterations of the past actually generate parallel universes. The idea here is that when the time traveler kills his or her own grandfather, the time traveler is actually killing a parallel universe version of the grandfather, and the time traveler's universe of origin is actually unaltered. This may be what we see in the film Looper, when old Joe from the future has traveled back to kill the Rainmaker, who was only a child at the time. When young Joe kills himself to prevent this from happening, he states that he saw a world in which an angry child grows up to become someone destructive. But that world is destroyed when young Joe kills himself and old Joe disappears. A catch-22 is a situation in which someone in need of something can only have it by not being in need of it. This concept is based off the 1961 novel Catch-22 by Joseph Heller, in which a soldier who wants to be declared insane to avoid combat is deemed not insane for that very reason and will therefore not be declared insane. We use this term in our everyday lives because we actually see this sort of thing play out, usually when we're dealing with some sort of authority like health insurance or the bank or the telephone company, etc. They want us to jump through some sort of hoop that we can't because of some prerequisite that requires that we've already jumped through that hoop. The character Brantley Foster complains about this sort of problem in The Secret of My Success while he's job hunting and no one will hire him because he doesn't have experience. He remarks, "How can I get any experience until I get a job that gives me that experience?" J.K. Rowling finds a way to skirt around this paradox in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone when Professor Quirrell is trying to get the stone out of the Mirror of Erised, desire spelled backwards. He desires the stone and the mirror shows him holding it, but the mirror won't release it because of a prerequisite Quirrell can't achieve. It releases the stone for Harry, however, because although Harry wants the stone, he doesn't actually want to use it. It's not precisely a catch-22, but it's pretty darn close. On a recent broadcast of Beyond the Shadows, I was asked about the Fermi paradox, which I'll go ahead and address here. The Fermi paradox is the apparent contradiction in the perceived lack of evidence of extraterrestrial life, and the high estimates that extraterrestrial life throughout the universe actually exists. I say perceived lack of evidence since there are many throughout the UFO community that have made a case for ET visitations here on Earth. But for this paradox, we'll go ahead with that mainstream idea that we haven't yet discovered extraterrestrials. The high probability comes from the fact that there are billions of stars with their own solar systems in our galaxy, and there are billions of galaxies in the known universe. With all those nearly infinite possibilities, there should be something out there, right? I look at it, not that there's a lack of evidence, but some are ignoring the evidence right in front of their eyes.
I'm starting to dig this here. There's a lot of cool stuff that I didn't really notice. The bootstrap paradox, yeah, I have seen that in some things. And then the grandfather one, obviously from like that Back to the Future reference, was really dope. Good stuff. I wonder what type of what are good movies that deal with time travel that are out that I could watch. If you guys have any suggestions, go ahead and drop a comment. Let me know. We can go ahead and like watch them on a live stream or something. All right, let's keep this.
It's a matter of perspective. We are, to the rest of the universe, extraterrestrial life. Score 1 for the Milky Way galaxy. So if you can say that for a galaxy of 250 billion to 500 million stars, there may be one planet with terrestrial life, in a universe with 1 billion trillion stars that we know of, there may be billions of planets with terrestrial life. So I don't really think it's that much of a paradox. It's just perspective. Speaking of perspective, here's a couple of optical illusion paradoxes for you. The Penrose stairs is a favorite. The impossible staircase that goes round and round, never going up and never going down. Although those illustrated walking on it clearly appear to be going up or down. This paradox was used in the Christopher Nolan film Inception as a method to keep the designed mazes smaller in size but larger in scope. And a cool way to beat a bad guy. The impossible trident, or blavette, has many names, including the Devil's Tuning Fork, but it's an impossible object with 3 cylindrical.
Wait, hold up. What the hell was that? How the hell did you even like see this? It's like super weird, bro. Wait, hold up. All right. So if this is, hang on a second. It's like confusing as hell. Hang on. All right. So if this is designed to be like a tuning fork, right? Then this would be the edge here. But if this is the middle, then okay, this is the other end. Then the only thing that makes sense to see really is somebody put a circular object right here in the middle. But that doesn't answer these. Dang, that is crazy looking.
But it's an impossible object with 3 cylindrical prongs at one end, which then mysteriously fade away and transform into 2 rectangles at the other end. A satirical article in the Worm Runner's Digest in 1968 by Roger Hayward, titled Blavettes, Research and Development, included a number of other variations and interesting drawings of this optical illusion, including the undecidable monument. These are just a handful of paradoxes, and there are hundreds more, including Schrodinger's cat, the tea leaf paradox, the ship of Theseus, and on and on. And for more videos on time travel and all things supernatural, please check out our other videos off to the side.
Okay, so that was dope. That was a good little lesson there. All right. I dig it. I like it. I might add one more video to this just to get like a second, just an alternative viewpoint on it. You know, cite your sources and all that jazz. All right, cool. Like I'm liking this. Yes, again, I might expand on this particular video, but yeah, I'm gonna do like a video a week where I go over like a topic and check out like multiple videos and stuff like that, join them together and everything to do like the whole process of research and stuff and have a cool discussion with you guys. All right, cool. So that was Types of Paradoxes by Mike Ricksecker. What other videos we'll find? I will most likely see you in the next one. Peace.